Hello, Jeff Helvin here with Ballen Brands. And today I'm going to show you how to make internal forms in the Keap CRM platform. Okay, so Keap actually has two different versions. They have the Keap Max Classic, which was formerly known as Infusionsoft, and they have a newer Keap interface as well. I'm going to show you in this video how to do it in both platforms. And if you want to learn in the Keap Max Classic, keep watching. If you want to learn just specifically on the new Keap interface, well then you can scroll ahead in the video until you see this particular interface, which is the new Keap interface. Okay, so I'm going to start here. Now, internal forms here is all done through the campaign section in Keap Max Classic. So I'm going to click on my menu over here. I'm going to click on Campaign Builder. Now, we create an actual campaign called internal forms just so that we have all of our different internal forms housed in there. Now, the reason why we like internal forms is because we're able to collect a certain set of information from, maybe our salespeople or our team, that all work within the platform, and we don't have to make them go through all the different stages and steps of contact fields and records. And I'll show you a little bit more what we mean by that here. So we have an internal form set up, for example, called new lead campaign form. Okay, now this form allows us to pull in some new lead information, but then it can do subsequent things after that by doing some follow-ups. In this particular case, everything that I want to do is actually built into the form itself, so we just have a blank sequence that it dumps into, and it doesn't actually do anything. Down here, however, if I go to like new contract details, this one now will actually, if I double click on that, it sets the field value of that particular contact, that person type. It'll change to, under contract as an example. So the idea with these forms that'll help to follow up things, like let's say, for example, I have closing details. Well, when I close, I can set the particular contact to closed or past client. Then I can also add them to follow-up campaigns automatically from here just because I filled out that form. So it's a really cool way to kind of help process things. If I have a new lead or I have someone that I'm now working with or I set an appointment with, it can then trigger follow-up things without me having to go add extra tags or add people to campaigns. So it's a really cool way to automate your whole workflow process by using something like internal forms. So I'm going to show you how to make one here real quick just as a sample. So you'll see here goals. We're going to go ahead and find the internal form submitted goal. I'm going to drag that over. I'm going to double click on it, and this pulls up my actual form interface. So by default, it just has first name and email. But you'll see here little tabs. I can actually insert, dividers, tables, images, and kind of, make that a little more attractive if you'd like to, right? I can use different snippets, paragraph, and so forth. So you have these options as well. Maybe I want to, pull in a logo or something from there, so I can select from all the different images. These are all just different samples here, okay? So I can do that. I can go ahead and delete it. Or I can go to field snippets, which is actually where I want to go to be able to do, collect more information for this particular contact. So I can, name is already in there, but I can actually pull in, maybe I want to do last name as well. So I can pull that in and I can select last name instead. And I'm going to make that one required. And I have email. Let's say I want to do phone number, right? So I can drag that. You also see when I hover over the icon, it's going to basically take where I left off last. So what do I want to do? Phone. We'll insert it in the phone one field, but maybe I just wanted to say phone or cell phone, mobile phone. Maybe I'm going to require that, so I can hit save. But you'll see when I hover over these, it's showing me down below with that little outline box there, like where it's going to go. So if I want to just keep building down, it's actually really easy. I just click each box and go down further. I can use things like check boxes, the address fields, things like that. I can do a radio button. So these are really cool because, like, if I did, let's say, a radio button, for example, I can actually choose what options I want it to be. So, like, start new campaign. Maybe I want to do mark as dead, something like that. I can actually have this apply a tag as well. So if they select this, it'll then apply a particular tag that lets it do what I want it to do. Again, just more automation. Okay, so in this case, we won't put that in there because I just want to show this as a sample. So I can add all these different fields. Now, if I want to use my custom fields that I've set up in the system, let's say like contract date or address or I'm sorry, like property address, things like that, then I can actually just click other, and then it lets me choose which fields I want to pull in. So you'll see we have a lot of different custom fields that we have set up in here. So we can set that all up. So if it's anything that you need to collect, it's not already in the system, you can add it as a custom field in the admin settings. And then from here, of course, you can choose that to be pre-filled. Okay, so that's the quick setup of how to create them. Then I can go to settings, and I can choose how am I doing duplicate checking. It's only settings that are in here. So we want to make sure that if someone fills this out and they're already in the system, that we want it to check for duplicates and merge those fields so it doesn't create a new one. But we have other options here, of course, for duplicate checking. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and we're going to go back, get out of the particular form itself. You'll see here. So the idea is, since this is a goal, that means when this happens, we can make other things happen. So I can now drag over a sequence, for example, and I can say, okay, if someone fills out this form, then that person, the person that was entered into the system, I can now do several different things. I can send them a follow-up email that says, we look forward to working with you. I can apply tags that maybe launch campaigns. I mean, there's so many different things that we can do here. I can set the field values for, under contract or new clients or any of those things. So these are all really effective things for us to kind of help automate that whole customer experience. And not only that, not only the communication to our new customers or our contacts at these different stages or phases, but also a way to kind of help make sure we keep our database updated. Where I see a lot of people struggle is that they say, oh, okay, well, when I put someone under contract, I want them to go on this campaign and I want to mark them, as a different person type, and I want to remove this tag and I want to do these things. And so they're doing it manually, which might be okay if they created this whole, format themselves, right? Like if I, as a database manager, said, okay, every time this happens, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Well, that's great, right? I can remember that because I kind of built it and it goes with me. But if I'm out and I'm too busy and overwhelmed and have too many things and I get to that certain point, that's where Keap is an awesome platform, because it allows us to get deeper into keeping our data accurate. Because once our data starts to get off a little bit, the database is only as good as the data that's in it. So we want to be really careful with that. So think through, like, what are if I do anything consistently, every time I mark someone as this, then I do these three things, just let's build a sequence for it, right? Let's automate that particular feature. Awesome. So that's just a sample of how to actually set them up. Now I'm going to show you where we actually use those as well. So as I mentioned, I already have these set up in here. So when I go ahead and jump out of here and I go to a particular contact, all right, so they're going to show up here under forms. When I click on forms, you'll see this internal forms option. So I can choose any of these forms that I've set up in campaigns. Now, it'll actually pull from any campaign. So if you like to have your internal forms set up in separate campaigns for different reasons, you can absolutely do that as well. But in this case, I would click like the new lead campaign form and hit fill out form. And you'll see it pops open just these particular details. So what I like about this, again, is I can require certain information. So again, if I'm instructing maybe an admin or another team member or something to use these forms, it's not going to let them get by without that information, okay, which is kind of a nice little fail-safe. If I hit cancel, I can go back to forms and go to, let's say, new contract details, and I hit fill out form. So you'll see this one has a lot more information, okay? Then it also says if you choose to add this contact, you can select this box that'll automatically check the birthday campaign. I can check this box for the anniversary campaign. So again, a lot of really cool features here to do that. Now, the other thing is that if you already have these particular fields filled out on this contact, let me show you that right now. If I go to Juan Carlos and click on Manage Contact, So this is actually all the different fields that I'm pulling from. So in this case, I have a contract tab that I set up with all these custom fields. So it's the same thing that you're going to see here. Property details, property address. It's going to insert those right into those particular fields, which is really nice. Now, if I already had values in those fields, it's actually going to show up in here already pre-filled, just like the name, email, and phone are. So I can change information on the fly. I can add information if I don't have it. I can just use this form to make sure I have the right information. A lot of cool different ways to utilize internal forms. So once I hit save, it would then trigger any of the follow-up steps that I have in that campaign for Juan Carlos in this particular case. Okay, so that is how internal forms is used. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the new Keap platform, and so you can see it's basically the same steps, same setup, just a different interface and how we use it. So I'm going to go over here to home. All right, so this is my dashboard. Okay, when I log into the new Keap interface, this is a dashboard. So I'm going to go to marketing, and you'll see I have forums, landing pages, a lot of different things. But in this case, I'm doing forms. There's public forms and internal forms. So public forms are just like they sound, forms that we would use for outside use, for other people coming to visit us, filling out forms. So we'll review those in a different video. And then we have internal forms. So internal forms is where, again, we can set up. Now, just like before, we have the different options here where I can go ahead and create the form. Am I doing internal or public? So we're going to do internal. And we can choose from templates. So there's a couple here, like by default, a lot of times we're using address forms or intake forms. So we're just going to go ahead and do intake forms. So it's going to pre-fill us with some information. I'm going to click on start building your form. All right, so I'm going to give the form a name, and so we'll just call this one new intake form. We can give it a description or instructions. This is, again, more for internal use, so we can kind of see what that does. For us, button text, we're able to change, what that all says in there. If we don't just want to say submit, things like that. And then the fields. So these are the fields that we have. So just like I'm able to go and select fields in the other platform, I'm able to do that here too. So I can click on create new field, or I can add fields on the fly as well. I'm going to go ahead and leave these ones that we have, kind of these standards so you can see. But if I hit create new fields, it'll pop up and allow me to, again, create that on the fly, different types of fields, whatever I want to name it. Do I want to show it or not show it? All that good information. Or if I just want to add fields, it'll pull that up, and then I can select which fields I can add. Again, all of my custom information, all my custom fields I already had, those are all available in here as well. So really easy interface to utilize here. Don't be afraid of it by any means. Go ahead and delete that field. All right, I can choose other settings, like whether or not I want the helper text to show up, whether or not it's a required field or not. So all of the same features, no matter what platform you're in, work. So this gives you that little preview of what that looks like. And then we go ahead and click next. And now this is that follow-up stage that we're able to do where we can add certain things. So if we use this internal form, it's why we love internal forms, is because we're able to communicate with our clients as we add them, or with our contacts as we add them into the system. So we can send them a confirmation email. We can tag them with certain things. We can have it create a deal automatically in the pipeline in this particular platform. So a lot of really cool options to do some customizations there. Also, if you tag contacts a certain way, then that tag can then trigger other more sophisticated automations. So a lot of really cool features built in here. So now, where do we use it? Where do we find this form that we've created? Okay, so where we're going to find it is when I go to contacts, and I am going to, let's say, add a new contact. We have these options: new contact form or new networking contact. So these are different, the two that I already selected. I didn't save the last one I was just doing, so it doesn't show up here. But I can click on, let's say, new networking contacts, and it pulls up that particular internal form. I can also select the drop-down box there and choose the other ones here and create new ones on the fly. So this is how we find the form and how we use it. So again, if I'm working with a particular a team, right? And I have some different admins and agents, then maybe I just want to have them like, okay, you fill out this form. Every time they get to your step, you fill out these few details. It's a really easy way to keep a team kind of streamlined and working in a particular way that, again, keeps your data up to date. That's what's so important here on all of this. All right, so if it's someone who's already a contact in the system and we want to use that form, then we have that option as well where we go to the particular contact. Let's say it's a existing lead and now we're turning them into a client, so we're doing a new client form, right? We don't want to create a new contact altogether. We're going to go to the actual record here. We're going to click on more. Then we can see we have these different options on what we can do. I'll click on forms, new contact form. And now, again, it will pre-fill any information that's already in there and allow me to insert new information that may be missing. All right, so if I pull this one up, there we go. So it gives us a lot of options. I can add a quick note, do things like that. Again, when I update this, if I have other automation set up that says, fill out the new client form and it automatically sends out an email, welcome new client, we're happy to be, welcome you to the team. We can't wait to work with you. So these are the ways and why we utilize these internal forms. So it's how you build an internal form and how we use an internal form and what amazing things they can do for us in our database management. So if you have any questions on any of that, by all means, you can reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.